Okay, so good afternoon. So it seems some of your classmates are not call this. We're not able to join our Zoom meeting for today. So siguro baka nahirapan sila whatever reasons they have. So let's start. So I have here sample of my works. These are my photography works way back for almost 10 years. So as you can see, we have here Baguio City, SM. I'm taking the picture at the top of Camp Allen. This is during the grand fireworks display at closing program of Panagbenga, and this was 2013. So I used a tripod, and then it's been shot with a hundred of shots actually, with just like a time lapse. Then every time na sumabog yan, you will just choose which of the best composition that you were able to capture. Then of course I use a wide angle lens. So hindi basta-basta rin. So it depends on your uh, call this your gears. Next we have here Daniel Parantak. If you're familiar with him, he is one of the national player of Wushu na taga UC din. If you're familiar, Daniel Parantak. So faster movement or faster shutter speed, faster call this shots to take the still and of course the expression of his action. Next, we have here like a macro because you can see the droplets. I think I took this picture at the Burnham Park or Burnham Lake somewhere on that place. Next, you're familiar with this. This is at Baguio Center Mall at the overpass with the light trail. I took this picture, if I can remember, it's more than it's around 15 to 30 seconds per shot. Per shot. So, isang picture lang yon. It's 30 seconds. So, and then I took this picture at the top of Mount Pulag. This is my tent. This is around midnight. Kala nyo umaga. But this is midnight because these are the stars. And this is the North Star. Siyempre, kapag nag-picture ka ng isang picture for almost 30 minutes or 1 hour, iikot talaga yung star. Yan. Or star trail. But what technique did I use? Just like a time lapse, combination of 100 to 200 pictures then connected to one another, then it produced like this. Yan. Next, I took a telephoto lens. I use a telephoto lens around 300 mm. As you can see, we have here your ISO is 1600, your f aperture is 18, and then 1 over 250 per seconds, the shutter speed. So as you can see, there are different settings I used, even with the white balance, auto white balance, daylight, cloudy, tungsten. Then as you can see, there are they have the same photo, but the problem is with different settings. You need a tripod to capture like this type of astrophotography. Then of course you need a telephoto lens. Next, we have here a macro style or close up. This Mr. Bean, as you can see, a shallow, very blurred because I use a 1.8 or 1.4 aperture. So yan. So that's the power of highest highest aperture, meaning 1.8. The lower the number, we have the highest aperture. For example, 1.4 is higher than f8 or f16 or f22 because the aperture is the opening, is the eye opening. That's why it's blurry or shallow. Next, of course, a close up with this plant. I forgot the name of this plant with the bee. A shallow part here. The focus is on this part, and then the background is really shallow. I took this picture way back 2014. Yung pwede pang mag-camping dito sa campsite extension ng Mount Pulag. You see, it's a fiesta. Then I use a star filter connected with the camera lens. Then as you can see, those are flashlights. Those are flashlights connected. The meaning, I took this picture around 15 to 30 seconds per shot. Per picture is 30. Isang picture lang yon, 15 to 30 seconds. So that's it. And then of course here, way back 2015, Pyro Musical at Mall of Asia. Yan. I took this picture. And then it is at infrared. Para siyang film style. Next, we have the billion of stars. I use a higher ISO, but it became more noisy. Hindi na siya, pero because you really need to have a higher ISO to produce this. And then, of course, wide lens, and then balance of your auto white balance. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, if you saw this one way back 2015. I have a version of 2014 as well as 2015 and 2016. So every year I have a version of this scenario. Palawak ng palawak yan. So some of the pages were being distributed and sabi kung kani-kanino ko na nakikitang pinag-share nila ito. So this photo was being trending during that time. Next, this is taken at Camp 1, Colorado Falls. I use a lower shutter speed to capture this kind of photo. Yan. Next, this is me at the summit of Mount Pulag, taking my selfie with the galaxy. Sir, edited naman yan. Oh, yes, edited nga. Sabi ng iba. But if you were able to experience then, ganun. Of course, this is taken at Vegan. I forgot the exact date. And this is a workshop here in Baguio, way back 2015 with different models. So portrait, yan. So we use in a studio light setting here. And then if you're familiar with this person, Carrot Man, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, pero naging trending to. Then every time I post picture of Carrot Man, kung kani-kanino ng pages kumakalat, okay? Wala pang 1 minute, edited, tanggal ang mga watermark ko. Kaya lahat, nilagyan ko na ng watermark. Pati yung ulo niya may watermark ko. Nilagyan ko na. Pero ang galing, kaya nilang tanggalin yung mga nag-edit. So, that's it. Next, we have here a fireworks display again. This is taken at Kamaya Coast at Bataan. Oh, sir, what's that? It's a drone shot. Yes, it's an aerial shot. This is with Kim, one of the FHM models, portrait with seminars. Yan. I also have your wedding settings. Yan. Then drone shot at Dagupan fish ponds. Ayan. At sa gitna niyan, merong helipad as well as swimming pool. Ito, small swimming pool. Food photography. I use one light. Isang flash lang ginamit ko. Top light. As you can see, yung umuusok-usok yan. Meaning fresh na fresh from the farm. Naku, nakakagutom. And of course, this is 2008 at Mount Kabuyao with the galaxy. Rising galaxy or the Milky Way rise ang tawag natin dito with the billion of stars. Next, this is taken Camp Janhay Manor Hotel with my model engineer Seda. This is taken at Capones Island at Zambales. I think this is your classmate at UC, Marwa, if you're familiar with her. This is taken at the gym. Bleachers itong naka-background niya, bleachers, yung white and green. Yan yung bleachers sa gym natin. Then this is taken at Kaparkan Falls, Little Kaparkan Falls. This is the Rose Garden during Christmas event way back 2019. And then you're familiar with this, Maharlika, People's Park, Lower Session Road, Light Trail. This is taken at the Gusol Imuki Island. Yan, ito. This is the Imuki Island at La Union. And this is me waiting for the stars. So, yan. This is combination of 300 photos. Then this frame is one frame lang. Ito lang dinagdag ko na one frame. I'm waiting while looking at the stars. Yan. Combination of 300 photos yan. And this is me with my son, with the Galaxy. This is our tent. Oh, meron pang ilaw-ilaw na Christmas light. Okay, this is taken at saan na ba to? Sa Luna. Luna. Luna La Union. Oh, with the Galaxy again. With my friends. And then we have with RHG portrait. So that's it. Those are samples. So let's proceed. Uh-oh. Wait. Uh-oh. Wait. Okay. Can you see our module, guys? Module 4. Guys, are you still there?
Yes, sir.
Magsalita kayo, guys. Pakita nga tayo. Okay. So let's start. So for your module 4, you have introduction to photography. Appreciate the basic of photography. Understand the importance of exposure triangle. Capture your own photography composition. Explain your output. So let's proceed. So first, you try to observe. Given the sample photo, what did you observe regarding the exposure? This is underexposed, correctly exposed, and overexposed. It will depend on the settings that you're going to use. Let's proceed. May mga sumagot na rin dyan sa inyo. I believe, may mga sumagot na. Next, what is photography? Photography is the art of capturing light with a camera, usually via a digital sensor. Pag sinabing digital sensor, nowadays, we already have this type of camera. Ka lang. Ito na lang. DSLR tayo muna. Digital sensors. Those are sensors with electric part sa loob niyan. So, with a mirror. So as you go through, just start scanning that, and then we have here a brief history of photography with people who made it succeed. We have here Joseph Nesipor, Luis Daguerre. We also have Alfred Stieglitz, Dorothea Lange in terms of portrait photography, and we have lastly we have the Ansel Adams, who is more on landscape photography. So as you can see, these are the pioneers in terms of photography. And then what camera do you need for photography? Usually don't need a very high-end camera. To tell you honestly, I've been doing photography since, kailan ba? Since college, using cell phones only. Then when I were able to get the job dito sa UC before, my first gift to myself is to buy a Digicam. Unfortunately, wala na sa akin yun kasi or pinamigay ko na ba or binenta ko na yata, hindi ko na maalala. For the past 3 years, Digicam. So, 3 Digicam na bili ko for the succeeding 3 years. Then after 2012, a friend of mine asked me, "Sir, puro ka Digicam, ba't di ka bumili ng DSLR?" Ganun. Then I tried exploring how to use that camera. Then there are types of cameras. Of DSLR, we have mirrorless. And then, basta meron kayong your cell phones with camera, okay na yun. Yun na yung kailangan nyo. You don't need to buy. At lalong hindi kayo bibili ngayon ng camera, okay? No buying of cameras. Wag. So at this point, the other camera gears, accessories that do you need? Of course, a tripod. For the tripod, especially for night photography, you will able to capture the stars, you will able to capture the light trail, yung mga ilaw na nakita nyo kanina, yung sumabog na fireworks. Yun, you need a very sturdy tripod. I have here a sample of sturdy tripod. Kita nyo ba? Ito. This is a Benro. One of the branded tripods na nabibili, Benro. May pangalan kasi kaya talagang content siya. Then, as much possible, matibay yung tripod. Hindi pwede yung mga tripod na mga 100, 300, or 800. Or you have like this, gorilla tripod, yung pang selfie, kinakabit. So, it's not really sturdy. Pero if you have a sturdy tripod, much better. Kasi nga, magiging steady yung picture. Because every time you will take a low exposure, longer shutter speed, you need a very good tripod. Not unless hawakan nyo. Talagang hindi ka lang. Pero for sure, konting nginig lang. Wala, it's blurred. Next, bags. Camera bags. Wag lang yung basta normal na bag. That's like yung mga bag nyo. Camera bags. You can buy any type of bags, but usually may mga prices ng bag. Usually nasa 2,000, 3,000, ganun. And then you have memory cards. As much possible, you have a class 10, not class 4. Class 4 is the casual. So you use class 10 because it also help to transfer the data of your photos as fast as your camera can perform. Kasi pag class 4, ang bagal. And then sometimes, nag-error, nako-corrupt. Kaya dapat laging class 10. Next, you also have extra batteries. Siyempre, as a photographer or nag-picture, may extra batteries ka. But for your cellphone, make sure you have your power bank. Pag cellphone camera ang gamit nyo. Next, you also have polarizing filters. Polarizing filters. Like for example, we have here UV filters. Yan, mga common UV filters na nilalagay sa lens. And then circular filter, yung tarawag din na infrared filter, yung nakita niyo yung sample photo ko. And then one of the common filters na ginagamit ko for my landscapes. Ito yung mga ginagamit kong filter, nakabox pa, no? So maarte. So medyo branded din to produce this type of picture. Ayan, no? Nakita niyo yung sample? Kita ba? Yan. Or this. Yan, gradient. Especially for sunset or sunrise. And of course, hindi biro ang presyo niyan. I bought that filter around 25,000. My gears, honestly speaking, with my DSLR alone, naka-4 na akong ganito. Ito na lang naiiwan, may diferensya pa. 4 na DSLR. And then, pag sinabing DSLR with a mirror. Yan yung tawag yun, no? Salamin, pag binuksan. Okay? Then, of course, what I'm using now is a very compact camera, which is more compact, mas maliit, mas madaling hawakan, known as the mirrorless, mas payat. Yan din. Pero yung price nito, hindi rin ganon. Hindi porket payat, mas maliit, mas mahal. So, you will really invest a lot of money if papasukan nyo yung the field of photography. For my case, hindi ko na alam kung magkano na nagastos ko. Honestly, I even have drones. I have 3 drones. 3 na yung drone ko. I'm even selling the last drone. Baka gusto nyong bilhin. So, ayun. So, photography as well as videography is very expensive call this hobby. So, kung talagang seryoso, hindi pa. Pero kung kaya nyo naman yung mga cellphone nyo, yung mga okay na rin, nakakagawa ng magandang picture, it can call this, it can move the ISO, the shutter speed, and shutter speed as well as the aperture, okay na yun. Kasi may mga cellphone na ganun, yung mga latest, like for example, 2016 phones and up, usually mayroon na mga settings na ganun. Next, you have, of course, need a flash. External flash. Ayan. Kailangan may external flash ka. You do not depend yourself on your camera flash. Kailangan mayroon kang external flash. Yung ginamit ko doon sa CTE, with our teachers sa CTE, yung organizational chart picture nila, I use a studio lights. Ang ginamit ko doon. Studio lights. Kaya ganun din yung lightings niya. And then, of course, better computer monitor as you do your editing, parang so that makita mo kung maganda ba yung nakuha na mong picture. Kailangan maganda rin yung monitor mo. And then cleaning kit. For the cleaning kit, I have here of course the blower for the dust. We have the brush, and then we have the wipers as well as the water, ang tawag dito, water screen cleaning, wet wipes. So halo-halo, meron din yung gel na ginagamit. Ayan. So pag-isip-isipan niyo kung if you want to enter this field of hobby. So yun, next, there are 3 fundamental camera settings that you should know. First, exposure triangle. For the exposure triangle, focus lang natin to. Lakihan natin para makita nyo. Okay. Of here, ISO, aperture, shutter speed. Those three are the triangle na tinatawag, meaning it affects your photo. So, pwede maghalo-halo yan ng settings, but it will produce it will produce the same exposure. But the quality of picture, it will differ. For example, for the ISO, wait lang ah. Okay, wait, I'm back. So we have here ISO. So usually, the higher the ISO, it will produce noise. Kumbaga para siyang noisy picture. Pag sinabing noisy, para siyang pixelated. For example, your ISO is 6400, taking galaxy, taking pictures on a night settings or a dark place, you need a higher ISO. Yun nga lang, it's grainy and more pixelated. Unlike with the daylight, you use a lower ISO, usually ISO 100 or ISO 80 yung ginagamit ko. Very sharp. Napakalinis ang klaro ng picture. So the lower the ISO, the clearer the picture. The higher the ISO, more noisy, more pixelated. Ganun lang yun. While for the shutter speed, faster shutter speed, it will capture, pag fast shutter speed, it will capture the detailed movements. Pero kapag lower shutter speed, meaning, nagkakanyan, isang picture pa lang, yung para nakita yung light trail, yun na yun. So, yun, pag light trail, para na siyang light paints. Kumbaga parang nagpinta na siya ng light. Kaya yun, lower shutter speed. Then of course, for the aperture, as you can see here, if your f8 is the normal yung background, normal din yung foreground. While for f1.8 or 1.2 or 2.8, the background is blurred while your subject is clear. Pag f16, clear lahat yan. F16. F meaning f-stop. Okay, so let's proceed. Tingnan natin. Ito na yan. Para makita nyo guys. ISO 100 versus ISO 3200. Nakita nyo? Pixelated dito. Grainy. While here, ang linis. Yung ginagamit kong ISO is ISO 80. They have the same exposure. Sabihin na natin yung exposure nito is 70% exposure. Pasok. Pero, the problem is the quality of picture is very noisy image. Clean image because of the ISO. Ganyan, guys. Next, if we go with the aperture, we have here sample of f2 compared with f22. F2, f22. Pag f2, the foreground is clear while the background is blurred. Compared with f22 on this side, the other side, the foreground is clear while the background is also clear. Kasi nga F22. Ganito yan para maintindihan natin guys. Kumbaga mulmulagat. Aperture is like an eye. Ay, makikita nyo ba dito? Sample. Kumbaga parang yung buka ng eyes niya. Ito yung F2. Kaya lang, F2 yan. Tapos makita nyo, nag-close. Kikita ba? Ayan. O yan, nakabukas. F2, F22, close. As in, tuldok lang yung naka-open. Kumbaga parang, if you are, kumbaga parang kang pumipikit, di ba pag pumikit ka, meron ka nakikita kahit konti. Gusto mo lang siyang silipin. Kung kunwari, tulog-tulugan ka, ayun. So, pwede rin yun. Naka F22 ka, tulog-tulugan. Nakikita mo siya, pero maliit lang. While yung agmulmulagat, that is F2. Okay? So, wait. Kulang to saglit. Okay, I'm back. So, in short, the higher, meaning higher is lower number. The lower aperture is higher number. Baligtad siya, opposite. So, pag gusto mong mas clear, f1.4. Just like this one. Itong ginagamit ko kapag photography portrait. f1.4 na lens. So, pag nilagay ko sa f1.4, I have a very clear subject and then the background is super blurred. Ganun siya. While if I'm going to use this one, sabihin na natin, tapos na F16 ako dito, or F22, everything is clear. Background and foreground. Pag sabing background, nasa likod. Pag foreground, harap. Forward. Foreground. Okay? So that goes with your aperture. Next, we have here shutter speed. Faster shutter speed, 1 over 120 versus we have here samples of anong kanito 1 over 30th. O ganyan. So meaning faster shutter speed, lower shutter speed. Meaning slow, makakapture niya pa yung light trail niya. While for here, medyo nakon na siya oh. Halos mag-create na siya ng light trail. But for here, kitang-kita nyo, para na siyang sinulid. Dito, kikwan pa lang, nag-umpisa pa lang. So, meaning the faster, if you're using a 1,000 speed of your shutter speed, pag 1,000 plus na yan or more, kasi the maximum usually is 8,000. For my camera, 8,000. Yung mga casual na mga nauuna, ganito, yung mga DSLR na mga malalaking DSLR, 4,000 siya, yung speed. Meaning, paano yung 1,000, 4,000 na yan? Meaning, 4,000 in 1 second, 4,000 shots yung kaya niyang gawin. Ganun kabilis. Ganun yung speed. And of course, the faster the shutter speed, mas kokonti yung light na nakokollect. While if you have a lower shutter speed, you will be collecting more lights. Kasi kung dari 2 seconds, ang dami nang pumasok na light within 2 seconds. Compared with a blip of a second or 1 over 120. Kumbaga 120 kilometers per hour, yung bilis nun. Tsak, ganun lang. Then of course, if you want to have a clear photo, usually the common is 120. And then if you want to take a moving object na clear yung subject, as much possible 30 o 1 over 30, ganyan, mga speed niya. Pero kapag below a second ka na, ayun, you really need a tripod. Hindi mo na kayang hawakan yun. If you're taking galaxy, you're taking seascape, ganyan, sunset, sunrise, ganyan. So that's it. Alright, so ito na yun guys, oh. Photography cheats. As you can see, F32 is very close, as in para siya nakapikit na mata, while F1.4 bukang-buka yung mata niya, yung buka ng lens. And then F2 hanggang sa pasikip, F32 konti na lang. And then as you can see with the photo, F1.4 clear yung subject, the background is blurred. Kita nyo ba? Kailangan i-super zoom natin para ano yung pinagsasabi ni sir. Ayan o. F1.4, your subject is clear while your background is super blurred. While if you go F8, medyo nagki-clear na yung background mo. Compare with the others na talagang kwan. Nasaan na? Okay. So F16 closer. Then you have here, wait. Shutter speed, 1 over 2, blurry. Itong 1 over 1,000, surfer, kitang-kita na yung details ng movement. 1 over 500, 1 over 250, 1 over 125, 1 over 60, medyo blurred na. So, below 125, medyo blurred na, but you need to, then if you more than a second, you need a tripod. But of course, it's a moving subject, ayun lang, talagang blurred na. Next, ISO. ISO 50, 100, 200, 2,560 or 60. The larger the noise, more noise siya. The larger the ISO, more noise. Ganun lang yung magiging. Kumbaga magiging pixelated na siya. But of course, it will affect your exposure. So take note of those 3 important things. And then, to have a clearer, panoodin nyo lang yung mga explanation dito. I've shown you, call this, kung paano nila nagawa to. But usually, you just try to watch that. So you have, I think, 4 or 5 5 basic ISO, aperture, and then shutter speed, and then the triangle exposure as a whole. Next, let's proceed. Still have 5 minutes. Okay, what did you observe regarding the exposure of the sample photo taken by Maestro? This picture was taken last week. Last week ko lang pinicturean to. I've used a tripod, sturdy tripod. Grabe yung wave dito. And then, that's it. I think this is 1/, wait, tingnan ko na nga lang. Nandito eh. Ito na siya, Speak of the Devil. Kita ba? Basta yan na siya. Naku, yung light talaga, yung light. May ilaw eh, screen. So the settings is 1.5 seconds. So parang almost 2 seconds na siya, 1.5 seconds. And then I use ISO 80 kaya napaka-clear niya. Hindi siya pixelated. And then my shutter speed is 1.5, ISO is, and then the aperture is 5.6 aperture. Yun yung settings na ginamit ko. And then of course, mga sumagot na rin dito. Okay, proceed. So sagutan nyo lang, what did you observe regarding that? So write your answers in 2 to 3 sentences. Next, let's proceed. Using your camera or phones or mobile phones, take 3 photos showing the underexposed, correctly exposed, as well as overexposed. So, ipakita nyo, 1 sample. As much possible, you take 1 picture. Do not move your hand. I-overexpose yung konti, then try to connect. Submit it as 1. Okay? So that we can determine the difference of the 3. Okay? Next, after that, so that's 30 points, 10, 10, 10 points. Using your camera again, capture any object or pwede rin yung mga toys, laruan. Any objects or then apply that triangle exposure and composition. First, you need to apply of course the triangle exposure, the ISO, shutter speed as well as aperture. And then you write, sabihin nyo, ilang aperture ginamit nyo, ilang ISO, ilang shutter speed ang ginamit nyo. Sabihin nyo doon. And then composition and explanation of your chosen subject is 20 points. So total of 30 points. May nagpass na ba? Nito? Meron na ba? Nagpass? I think so. Check nga natin kung may nagpass. Parang wala eh. Wala pa. Okay, mukhang wala pa. Okay, so meron kayong gagawin, okay? So you better start doing that. Just in case you have problem, just let me know regarding. So the main focus of our module 4 is for you to have a proper exposure pa lang tayo, exposure. Then after that, next week, you'll be doing your portrait pictures as well as landscape photography. Questions? You only have 2 minutes left. Question?
None, sir.
How about the others? Pag okay na, give me a thumbs up.
None, sir. None, sir. Wala pa.
Wala, sir.
You sure? Okay, just in case you have problems guys, message lang ako sa group chat natin. So thank you for your time. Thank you for joining our Zoom meeting. Kahit pa paano at least ma-enlighten kayo how it's being done. Basta, ang sabi ko, you can use your gadgets, your cellphone gadgets, or you can use your friend's gadget or your parents' gadget kung kailangan nyo, no? Pero do not let them buy you a camera, okay? Okay? Baka mamaya may nagpapabili ng camera dyan, ha? So, thank you very much. So, I will be ending our Zoom meeting in 5, 4,
Goodbye, sir.
3, 2, and 1. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching, guys.
But that's alright.